What's up, everybody? It's a new day. Made some progress over the weekend. It was Labor Day weekend. I didn't really work on it all weekend. I had to wait for a friend of mine to come up. Ended up doing a cruise with my dad. There's another video of that. Took the GTO out just to get some, miles on the car. I don't really get to drive it a whole lot and just get out and kind of de-stress. This car has kind of irritated me in some ways. But now that I'm past it, I'm in a better mood and gonna start making some more progress. Shout out to my friend Bo who came up. Dude hooked me up with this bench right here with wheels, and it was a big lifesaver for us. So pretty much what we did, just step back, we put the table here and then just lowered the cradle and everything as one assembly right onto the table. Propped some wood up underneath the trans and the torque tube. And the car was too low for me to really want to get under it and work because I just couldn't stay squatted like that. The car had to be about as, the height of the table there. I'm 6'4", 6'5", depending on the day. And squatting down under like a 3-foot position just is a lot for me. So my friend Bo, he jumped down there. We slid the torque tube and basically the trans, differential, table, everything is one cradle. Slid it back a few inches, and I went ahead and replaced the slave cylinder with the new one from Tick Performance. I wish I'd have gone this route to begin with. Tick uses AC Delco, OEM stuff. Here is the one that I put in the car, brand new, and this is not supposed to be out. This seats into there. See that roll pin right there? That roll pin is what's supposed to hold this in there. And it was not seated in there. So that's part of the reason why it was leaking fluid. And then it was leaking fluid around the base of this. So I don't really know what took place when they were assembling it, but it must have been done on a Friday at 4:30 because this thing was absolute junk. So I reached out to the company and talked to them about it, the ones that sold it to me, and they told me to contact the manufacturer. No, I'm not contacting the manufacturer. I paid you people need to go ahead and make it your headache to contact the manufacturer. So basically they told me they weren't going to. I went ahead and contacted the company I bought through, third party, and got my money back, and there's the slave cylinder sitting there, and now it's their headache. Customer service is a unique thing. Let me just say that. If I buy a part from somebody and it doesn't work, or it's a problem, or it's defective, I don't expect to be the one to have to deal with more headaches than what I've already dealt with. And I say that because of years of customer service for myself, running different shops, doing different things. I've never put the stress on a customer to deal with it outside of the norm. I'm not gonna tell my customer to contact the manufacturer of a part that I sold them. I'm gonna do that for them if I don't warranty it myself. So I got irritated with the company. Long story short, I got my money back, got a new slave cylinder. I'll send that other one back if they want it, but they haven't requested it, so I really don't care at this point. So I'm back to reinstalling. Right now I got this plate on. That's as far as I've gotten outside of just getting everything bolted up here. In fact, I didn't even do the bolting up here. My buddy Bo did it. So again, shout out to him. I did not want to go back reassembling the way I did it before, but that table made all the difference in the world. So the rest of it, I will say, is going to be pretty cut and dry. That exhaust right there is a bit of a headache to do by yourself. But just to give you kind of a tip, what I do is I take a strap and I run it across there, and I'll hang the back side of the exhaust on the strap, kind of take some of the weight off my shoulders while I'm setting it up there. And then the rest I'm just gonna button up, and hopefully this weekend I will throw some fluid in it and we will be driving. So I'm hoping for a test video here soon. Pretty discouraging to have to take it all back apart, but we did it all in a couple hours and got it all back together, new slave. I did remeasure, that's another interesting point. I remeasured for my shim for my slave cylinder, and this go around with that AC Delco slave cylinder, it did need a shim. I ended up having to use the middle size. My measurements were a little bit different, so I ended up using it. I'm glad I bought it. The middle shim, if you watch my earlier videos, was the one that I didn't have, and I thought if I don't buy it, I'll end up needing it. I have the other 2 sizes that they make, but I needed that third one. And I said to myself, if I don't buy it, that'll be the one I end up needing. Sure enough, that's the one I ended up needing. So me and Satan's Corvette here are about, I don't know, an hour and a half of work to be done before I can go ahead and fill it up with fluid and start going. I've already bled the clutch. While I had the help here, a buddy of mine just hopped in and he pumped it. We bled it. Everything looked great. So hang in there. I will get you a video of test driving it here soon. All right, I know that's a little bit different than what some of y'all were probably expecting, to see the car on the ground again, from being on the lift. Well, I came home from work, started buttoning stuff up. I didn't have much to do, and my dad came over and gave me a hand throwing the exhaust on. It's kind of a pain in the butt to do it on your own, so he came over and gave me a hand. And it started pouring rain. I've been sick, so I really haven't done a whole lot. And today I'm feeling a little bit better. It's Sunday, 9/11, and a day we will never forget in this country. So I woke up this morning. My wife and kid went to church. I took care of some things around the house, and I thought, you know what, get the car cleaned up and go for a little test drive and really see what it's gonna do. I did take it for a ride around the block just to make sure there wasn't any issues as far as like rubbing noises or anything I needed to address as far as getting the car to run right. And everything was fine, but the weather was so bad I just kind of did my quick trip around the block and then came back home. So I am gonna clean up the car today a little bit. From it sitting, it got a little bit of mold in the interior. I live in Florida. It's horrible because it's 90 million degrees during the day, and then at night it's 75 degrees, and then it goes back to 90 million degrees. And having a garage like this tends to fluctuate with the temperature. So anyway, I got a little bit of mold going on in the interior, which I'm going to address and clean up. I'm gonna clean up my tips, I'm gonna clean up the body. The exhaust tips, I noticed when I was working on the car, had some sort of black residue all over them, and I thought, well, it's time to give them a good polish. So yeah, so I'm just going to be doing a video of that, just kind of getting things cleaned up, and then we're going to go on a little test drive and check it out. I'm hoping I have 5th and 6th gear. I'm sure I will. When I started it up, everything seemed to be great. So yeah, we get some work done and then we'll go for that run. One of the things that I did want to talk about that I forgot to mention is the fluid that I went with. There's some of the empty bottles down in there, but for the differential, I went with Royal Purple Max Gear 75W90. This is pretty good stuff, I have to say. I've run AMSOIL in my street bikes. Right before I started making YouTube videos, I had 4 different street bikes. I had a CBR 1000, had that, had an R1. Every one of them I used AMSOIL in. And AMSOIL is great stuff, and I like it for motorcycles. I have nothing against it for cars, but I decided to stick with my Royal Purple choice for my car stuff. I've always run Royal Purple, so I'm just gonna stick with using that in my cars. And this is what I went ahead and put in the trans. They say that it helps it shift smoother. I don't know yet. I've not run this in a transmission yet. I believe this car has it in there, but I can't remember what the previous owner told me. I haven't put many miles on that car at all, so I really haven't needed to service it. But I will say that the factory transmissions shift pretty smooth as it is. And Royal Purple just takes it a next step up. Now, a lot of people will probably ask about doing the differential fluid and doing the additive. The additive is necessary when you're running just like regular 75W90. I think I have some regular 7590 over here. Yeah. This stuff here, it's a full synthetic. It's probably not bad stuff. I had it left over from another job I did. And you would want to add the additive, but apparently if you're running Royal Purple, you don't have to have that additive. So make sure if you decide to not run a full synthetic that doesn't have the extra additive in it, you need to for your differential to make sure it works properly. I'm sure a lot of people probably miss that. Will it hurt anything? Yeah, in the long term probably, short term now. So if you don't know if you have any, just go put a tube of it in there. You'll thank yourself later. All right, so I was gonna clean the exhaust tips. This is Mother's Mag and aluminum polish. I've had pretty good luck with that stuff. However, I tend to run to the Blue Magic Metal Polish Cream. This stuff seems to work the best. It is kind of liquidy from sitting in this garage for some time, but this has actually been some of the best product I've ever had. So I'm gonna use this to clean up the exhaust tips, see how it comes out. All shine back up, looking good. Some of that stuff on the bottom I'll have to wipe down again, but this stuff's pretty good, I will say. The only thing is it's pretty old, so let me show you the inside of this real quick. Yeah, this is kind of what's left over, sitting in a Florida garage. I think just kind of ruined it, but it still works, still cleaned everything. The towel that I used was perfectly white when I started, and you see it now. So that's just from 5 minutes of rubbing on these tips just to make them look a little bit more presentable again. So I'm gonna start on the interior, and then we'll do the outside of the car. You can kind of see this little haze on there, this little cloudy stuff here. We're gonna be getting all that cleaned up, getting my running boards cleaned back up. I got dirty and got in the car a couple times, so we're gonna focus on getting that up, getting the steering wheel cleaned back up. It's got a little dirt on it. The mold is basically what I'm worried about. Little spots of mold here and there, just from it sitting in the garage. So I'll get started on that. The funny thing is I have moisture absorbers in every car. It still doesn't do it. Still doesn't stop at 100%. So I'm gonna try and figure out another way to make sure I don't get as much moisture in my cars as I was. Some of those ones you hang from your rear view mirror that absorbs the moisture, they put them in flood cars. I think I'm gonna look into buying some of those. They're like a giant bag with a moisture absorber, and they also have like a deodorizer in it. So I might be giving that a shot here soon. I thought I had some leather conditioner, but I'm gonna have to go get some. But this is what I use to clean stuff up with on the interior. It's pretty good stuff. And then I put that usually on top of it, just as a protective. Florida sun's pretty brutal on interiors, but I don't want my stuff looking like a greased up, just sprayed tire shine all over my interior. So I try to use this stuff. I will get a leather conditioner. I use Meguiar's for that too. And I'll probably use that to recondition the seats from the mold and things like that. All right, interior is clean. Got it all shined back up. Looks much better than what it did. No more dust, mold, any of that crap. Just clean back up. And so I decided before I go ahead and fire it up, I haven't checked the oil since before starting the project of doing the trans. So I went ahead and checked the oil. Oil looks good. The funny thing about this car, it's never used a drop of oil the whole time I've owned it. It's literally, dipsticks always stays, the oil level always stays in the same spot on the dipstick. Very happy about that because some LS engines do use a little bit of oil. My mom had a 2002 C5 Corvette. It was not a Z06, it was a 6-speed. And that car was a convertible, so it wasn't the most ideal for somebody younger, but I used to like driving that car. I'm not a big convertible fan. But that one even used about a quart of oil between oil changes, and she had it since pretty much brand new. My mom is, well, now she's in her 60s, but when she got it, she was in her late 40s, early 50s. She drove that thing, babied it, never opened it up, took good care of it. So it just from the factory would use up some oil. One of the guys that does some car tuning down here, kind of talked to him about it. He said it's normal with a lot of the cars that he sees. A lot of stock LS engines will just use up some oil. And I will say that my blue Camaro never did. It would maybe need just to be topped off here and there between oil changes, but it barely used any, so I was always happy about that. So oil level's good. It checked it. It's never moved, and we're going to go ahead and fire it up and get it out of the garage. All right, here we are out for a test drive. Got the car cleaned up. Looks pretty good. I'm excited to drive it. I haven't really done much with it in a while. Haven't really got to enjoy the car. So there's a couple of neat things that this car came with this stuff from the previous owner that I purchased it from. Did some things like that to the armrests. Did these running board covers here. Did the matching 50th anniversary radio, DVD player, everything. Shifter, boot, steering wheel, which is actually a nice quality. It's just a wrap that goes over your regular steering wheel. And some other things that he did was like this nice plate here. It says Z06. Basically just mounts right there in your car. It looks good. Some of the things that I forget about in this car, but we're going to go ahead and take it for a test drive. This is going to be kind of tough to do while I'm shifting gears, so you're just going to have to hang in there with me. The little bit of test driving that I have done, everything went well. No noises, everything's quiet as can be. Pretty happy. The only thing I did notice when the car was cold, when I first started driving it, before I started filming, the car would kind of die when I was coming to an idle or a stop, and I don't know what that's about. I will say that I have an exhaust leak. I broke 2 of the manifold bolts as far as the ones that go to the mid-pipe. When I was taking them off, they're old, rusty, they were just seized. So I'm actually going to just put long tube headers in a different mid-pipe anyway, catless. And so I'm not going to worry about refixing those bolts. I'm going to be doing those headers here pretty soon. But I'm going to go ahead and take it for a test drive. I got some traffic coming, and then once they're out of the way, I'll go ahead and start shifting through the gears. All right, 83,537 miles, and here we go. I love the way the Corsa sounds. You might be able to hear that exhaust leak just a little bit. It's hard to hear with the doors and the windows, rolled up and everything, but all right, so we're in 4th gear right now. I'm gonna go into 5th. And 5th gear. Feels good to have 5th gear. I did not have 5th gear. I did not have 6th gear, so let's go to 6. And there we are, 5th and 6th gear, cruising. We're doing 60 at 1500 RPMs. I'm happy. It's quiet as can be in here. Not much road noise at all. No noise from the torque tube. Trans is quiet. Differential seems to be quiet. Clutch is a little clunky when you're first taking off. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, just getting used to this clutch in comparison to the factory clutch. I will say the factory clutches, I personally feel like they are so smooth and soft. This clutch is not far off of that. I did not go with the Tickmaster. I plan to at some point maybe, but I didn't. I did that on my last car, and it made the pedal extremely stiff with the twin disc from McLeod. So I kind of was like, again, I only have 83,000 miles on this car. Going with an aftermarket clutch master cylinder just doesn't seem to really make sense. So I decided to leave the stock one for now. I don't have any problems going into first gear or reverse, which is something you might get if you're getting into a worn out clutch master cylinder, but this is pretty smooth. I haven't had any problems going into first or reverse, so I think I'm just going to leave this clutch master cylinder for now. There's FHP. If I decide later down the road that it's getting to be too much to put it in first, or maybe I start missing gears at wide open throttle, then I'll consider it, but I'm not worried about that right now. So I'm going to take a couple more videos of me driving it around, and I'll do an external of the car. Thing I love about these cars is that fixed roof. It's the best looking part of the whole car to me. But it's just a little bit of a walk around. We'll be getting some other stuff done over the time being. I noticed the clutch had some chatter. Pretty normal. It is an RXT McLeod, so I'm going to give it a good break-in period before I get too concerned about any kind of excessive chatter. Just on takeoff, nothing crazy. It should straighten itself out. I'll give it about 1,000 miles, and if it's still chattering, I'll start figuring out something else. But it's a very normal thing. Go ahead and get a shot of that interior. This is your bleeder. That's something you definitely want to install if you're ever going to do this job. You'll thank me later if you do. But if you don't, you'll definitely have a heck of a time bleeding your clutch. It can be done. It's just more of a headache than what it's worth. He went ahead and say. And the taillights were blacked out before I got it. And since they were blacked out, I went ahead and did an emblem change on here. I went to that emblem with the yellow. I thought it looks nice. For some reason, the car was missing the vents here and here. I'll be getting new ones and putting them in. I might get rid of that Corvette license plate cover, but then again, it's unique. I've never really seen one before other than that, so I might keep it, might get rid of that. We'll see. I appreciate you guys watching my video. This has been a process. I do still believe that this is one of the easiest cars to work on. They are fun and they're super affordable, and if you think you can probably tackle this job, give it a shot. You know your mechanical skills better than I know your mechanical skills. I will say I ran into some struggle. It is what it is. It just happens. When you work on stuff, I don't care if you work on stuff 8 days a week, you're eventually going to run into something that's going to give you a headache. And that slave cylinder being bad was not my fault. It was my headache, though. And instead of tearing everything back down and doing it, you know, torque tube by itself, trans by itself, which is easy to do, like I mentioned, I had a friend came up and he helped me, and that made a huge difference because we were able to just slide it out, slide it back in. One of my future goals is to obviously get more tools that are associated with working on a lift. So a trans jack that is much higher, things like that. I did this job on the ground before, like I mentioned. It wasn't so bad. Now that I have a lift and I plan on doing more stuff on the lift, I need to get more lift associated tools. Having the right tools makes all the difference in the world. But I appreciate you guys watching my video. I'm going to keep doing more to this car as the time goes on, and I'll make more videos. But thanks for watching. Please subscribe. My next video, I'm not sure which car it's going to be on, but I'll be getting it out there in probably the next week or two.